It's adorable. Oh, it's so fetch.
In today's video, we're going to be discussing the Valley Girl stereotype. Is it a compliment or is it an insult? And where did this all begin? You know what? Let's just get into it. So what is a Valley Girl? Well, there are a lot of definitions that describe it, but to first put it in simpler terms, a Valley Girl is a fashionable and affluent teenage girl from the Valley in Southern California. But a Valley Girl is also defined as a socioeconomic and youth subculture stereotype and stock character originating during the 1980s. A Valley Girl is also referred to as any materialistic upper middle class young woman associated with unique vocal and California dialect from the San Fernando Valley area and surrounding commuter communities. Valley girls are also said to be known for their ditziness, airheadedness, and are having greater interest in conspicuous consumption rather than intellectual or personal accomplishment. Before we go any further, there are two terms that I want you to keep in mind as you listen to the rest of this video. The first one is youth subculture, which is a youth-based subculture with distinct styles, behaviors, and interests that offer participants an identity outside of that ascribed by social institutions such as family, work, home, and school. The study of subcultures consists of the study of symbolism attached to clothing, music, and other visible affections. So this is when a group of young people or the youth, they get together, they form their own little society, their own rules, and their own interests inside of what is considered the norm of the larger society. And the second definition that I want you to keep in mind as you watch the rest of this video is number 2, stock character. Now, a stock character is an archetype, a fictional character in a work of art, such as a novel, play, or film, whom audiences recognize from frequent recurrences. These characters are distinguished by their simplification and flatness, and as a result, they tend to be easy targets for parodies and criticized as cliches. Now, an example of this would be the dumb jock, the guy that's the head of the football team, the muscular guy that's popular, he has a lot of friends, he gets the hot girl, he's usually not the sharpest in the toolbox. And these kind of characters you notice and identify immediately. So now that we know what the term means, where did the Valley Girl term originate? Valley girls were known to be from San Fernando, which is an urbanized area in Los Angeles County, California, located north of the Los Angeles Basin, an area known for its mountains and hills. The San Fernando area is also known to be an area where a lot of wealthy and upper middle class people live. Some of the cities included in this area are Burbank, Glendale, Hidden Hills, and Calabasas. It's also known for its shopping plazas and iconic film studios such as Warner Bros. And Walt Disney Studios. So if you've ever seen the TV show 90210, the aesthetic, the area kind of looks like that. And of course, Beverly Hills is also near San Fernando. Also in 1982, American musician Frank Zappa released a song called Valley Girl, with the intent to make a mockery of the stereotypical San Fernando Valley teen culture. The song actually ended up doing very well and inadvertently popularized the Valley Girl stereotype and mannerisms. And then, following that, a movie titled Valley Girl was released in 1983, directed by Martha Coolidge, starring Deborah Foreman and Nicolas Cage. Fun fact, this was actually Nicolas Cage's first starring role, and he actually slept in his car to prepare for the role. The movie was about a popular Valley girl named Julie, who seemed to have it all: wealth, good looks, status, and even a Valley guy boyfriend to top it all off. Julie then meets a punk rock city boy named Randy, who is from a completely different world than hers, but they manage to fall in love and be together despite several obstacles and Julie's shallow friends. And so on top of all of that, also in the early 80s, Hollywood films and music videos highlighted the female-dominated mall lifestyle in San Fernando Valley. And also some movies were shot in the San Fernando Valley Mall, such as Commando, starring Arnold Schwarzenegger, and The Fast Times at Ridgemont High. So at this point, this stereotype has entered into pop culture, and of course, it becomes a trend. So what are some of the characteristics associated with the Valley Girl? Well, teenagers, suburban, low intelligence, superficial, materialistic. Mall shoppers, or some refer to them as the queen of the mall. Preppy, spoiled, wealthy from Southern California, having their own unique slang. Caring about social status and personal appearance rather than more serious things. They were known to be pretty, popular, gossipy, and usually with a cell phone in their hand. Now let's go to clothing. So how did these girls dress? Well, they wore leg warmers, shoulder pads, mini skirts, rah-rah skirts, which are flared mini skirts, very similar to the kinds that you see cheerleaders wearing, dangling earrings. A lot of them wore their hair in side ponytails, scrunchies. They wore their hair crimped, permed, and or teased. So now let's go to vocal tonality. Valley girls are known for what is called Val Speak, or Val Speak for short, which is an American English social dialect accompanying vocal features. And it's also stated that men from this area that use this dialect are called Val Dudes. This type of speaking peaked around 1981 through 1985, but was also popular through the early 90s. Another vocal tonality associated with the Valley Girl is vocal fry. Vocal fry is a way of speaking in which the voice is very low-pitched and categorized as a creaking sound. So for example, if I wanted to say, "Hi, where are we going today? Where are you taking me?" With vocal fry, it would sound like, "Hi, where are we going today? Like, where are you taking me?" Now, I don't know if that was the best example of it, but you can see how they drag their words out toward the end, and you can hear that little creaking sound at the end as well. And of course, some people have fun with this. They make fun of it and they over exaggerate their voice to make the sound even more intense. Another vocal tonality is called up talk or up speak. This is when you use upward inflection. So basically when your sentences sound like questions. So for example, if I were to ask someone, "What are you doing?" With up talk, it would sound like, "What are you doing?" Now, confession. I would do this a lot unknowingly before I even knew what up talk or up speak was. I would do it naturally because sometimes I have a very low speaking voice and people can't really hear me. So I thought maybe if I use inflection in my sentences, then people would hear me. And I was talking like this a lot. And then people were kind of staring at me and I didn't really know why until one person called me out. They just simply asked me, "Why do all of your sentences sound like questions?" Now, I am not from anywhere near California. I was literally doing this to just sound louder or to be heard. But when they called me out, it dawned on me that it is kind of weird that all of my sentences sound like questions when they are not. Now, there's nothing wrong with using inflection. Sometimes, depending on what you're talking about, depending on how enthusiastic you are about the topic that you're talking about, sometimes inflection is needed. But when it's overly done, it can get a little weird. Now, there were a lot of linguistic studies done on this. It was stated that due to California being one of the main sources of the entertainment industry, California is known for new cultural and youth trends, going back to the youth subculture term that I mentioned earlier. It is also said that a lot of California speech is a combination of the Valley Girl and the surfer dude, and that is also associated with good English but not looked at as proper. In one study conducted, California stated that despite the Valley Speak link to California, it is not overly prevalent. Another study conducted on 23-year-old college students in Southern California, with all diverse backgrounds by Amanda Richard from the University of California stated that her conclusion found that women utilized uptalk more than men did. And another article also stated that when women used uptalk or upspeak, it was assumed that they had inferior speech patterns, and then when men used uptalk, it was assumed that they were just being assertive. Valley girls were also said to have their own language or sociolect. So here is a screenshot of some of the terms or words that Valley girls would use. For example, you see like, which is used as an interjection, like that was so, or like, oh my God. You have as if, that's a very popular one. You have whatever. Barf me out means so disgusting, it makes me want to vomit. You have betch, totally, grody to the max. You have gnarly, you have seriously, then you have Betty, which is an attractive woman, and then you have Joni, an unhip girl. I'm outie. The list is way bigger than this. So this is just a few examples of how Valley girls supposedly spoke. So now let's go to some examples of the Valley girl trope in the media. So as far as film, of course, we have Julie Richmond from the movie that we mentioned earlier, Valley Girl. We cannot forget to mention Cher and Dion from Clueless. We have Elle Woods from Legally Blonde, Buffy Summers from Buffy the Vampire Slayer. We have Romy and Michelle from Romy and Michelle's High School Reunion. And we have Sharpay Evans from the High School Musical series. Now, as far as television, there was a series called Valley Girls, a television spin-off series from Gossip Girl that was supposed to be set in the 80s. I actually couldn't find that much information on that. Then we have the Sweet Valley High television series. We have Hilary Banks from The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, my favorite Valley Girl. We have Kelly Taylor and Donna Martin from Beverly Hills 90210. We have Karen Foster from Step by Step, a very good example of a Valley girl. We have Lisa Turtle from Saved by the Bell, and one thing we knew about Lisa loved to shop. We have Marissa Cooper and Summer Roberts from the OC. We have Kelly Bundy from the show Married with Children. And then we have even Rachel Green from the TV show Friends. In one episode, they alluded that when she was younger, that she was also a Valley girl. And in cartoons, and yes, this trope does even show up in cartoons, we have Bunny from Kim Possible, we have the Tweevils from the Bratz animated series, and we have Daphne Blake from a pup named Scooby-Doo. Now, what are some of the problems or dangers with the Valley Girl stereotype? Now, it can be very insulting and can insinuate that this group of people are inferior or to be made a mockery of. For example, terms like dumb blonde, bimbo are associated with this. A great example of a parody of this stereotype would be the movie White Chicks. This stereotype also denotes that women are materialistic and insult female intelligence, and not a full or true representation of the demographics are the people that live in the San Fernando Valley area. Now, going back to our definition of a stock character, these types of characters are easily targeted for parodies and criticism for cliches, and you can usually detect these characters right off the bat because they are very distinctive. When you see a well-to-do young adult woman or a teenage girl enter the movie scene walking in the mall holding a phone or shopping or gossiping, or if you see them being overly concerned about their looks and their appearance, this character is usually going to be grouped immediately as an airhead or a bimbo or the superficial rich girl that annoys the audience in some way, even though those Valley Girl stereotypical mannerisms are only just a glimpse and not their overall personality. That's why a lot of the times you see these kind of characters portrayed as the mean girl, the rich snob, or the popular girl that no one really likes. So if you were born in the San Fernando area or like shopping or speak in a certain regional dialect or use uptalk, you may find this very offensive. Now on the flip side, why is the Valley Girl term or trope complimentary or satisfying? Why are people fascinated with the Valley Girl trope in real life and on TV? Personally, I think one reason that people are fascinated with the Valley Girl trope is because these girls are associated with beauty and wealth. I was an avid reader when I was younger, and I remember coming across the Sweet Valley High book series about these twins that lived in Sweet Valley High. And of course, I thoroughly enjoyed the plots in the books, but I loved reading about the lifestyle. For me being so young, I didn't think about this term being a negative stereotype. I just thought it was cool that they were popular and that they lived in a big house on the hills and that they were pretty and that everybody wanted to be around them. As a young girl or a young teenager, I didn't want to think too deep into it. I would have loved to have been able to just shop and walk around the mall carefree, knowing that my daddy's credit card or my family's wealth would pay for everything. I liked that their hardest decision that they had to make for that day was what they were going to wear to a party, or if they were going to find the right shoes to go with their dress, or at least that's how they portrayed it on TV. Now, not to say that these people didn't have real problems or real issues, especially underlying issues which led them to be superficial, snobby, or gossipy. I'm just saying it was fun to watch or read about wealthy, carefree teens who seemed to have a desired lifestyle or the world handed to them. If you weren't wealthy, you kind of lived vicariously through these types of characters. For a modern day example, I think the reality TV shows about housewives are very popular because even full-grown adults are still fascinated with a wealthy lifestyle or a certain socioeconomic status. There is some kind of glamour or FOMO that goes along with it. It's very alluring. Now, I personally prefer to live in the South, but I will say the San Fernando Valley area is very beautiful, and if I had a chance to live in one of these beautiful houses on the hills, I probably definitely would have. It goes back to that saying, a house on the hills. And I also think that these characters are also fun to watch, and I don't think people take these characters seriously because they feel they are wealthy, they'll be okay, or they don't associate these characters with depth. And so they don't have real feelings, you don't feel bad about judging them. And as an actor, I would have loved to have portrayed one of these characters in a fun way, but not necessarily portraying them as a stereotype, but as a real person with layers and depth and understanding. I think that there is a real hidden magic and a uniqueness about this particular character that could be flipped in a positive way that would have a major impact if done correctly. In conclusion, so the next time you see a Valley Girl portrayed on TV, or if you see a modern day version in real life, or if you know someone that was considered one, has your perception now changed about them? Do you now consider the term Valley Girl as a compliment or an insult, or just a neutral description? I will let you all figure that out. And as always, thank you so much for watching. And if you found value in this content and want to enjoy more, please like, share, and subscribe. And let me know your thoughts in the comment section. Take care, and I'll see you all in the next one.